Hello, Internet. We are back for another session of Wonderworld. We got too many W names things here. I almost said Wild Space. But I don't run that game. Welcome. We're excited to be back for session 4 of Wonderworld. You might think session 4, we've been doing this for like 5 months. We have. The joys of running a game monthly. But we are excited to have our good friend Alex back to bring back Accelerando into our little universe. So we're excited to have you here. Welcome. We also have everyone else here today, which is nice. We had a little kind of more intimate session last week, which was kind of fun and a little bit taxing. Otherwise, I think, let's see, announcements, giveaway. So we are in the process of, or full swing of our 3-part dice giveaway for the channel. We have just hit our first goal on the Twitters, and we are in the process of giving away dice for that. It go to our Twitter page, GGameKnights, and go ahead and like and follow us there. Like the post or favorite the post, whatever it is on.
Like the tweet.
Like the tweet. I don't know internet terminology. And you can get entered in our giveaway. We're going to leave it up for about a little bit less than 2 weeks. On the 23rd of December, during the next Survivors Complex session, we will be announcing the winner. You must be following to enter. So make sure you're following us all over the place. We still have 2 other goals that we're trying to meet, and we will give away dice when we hit both of those. We're a little bit far away. I'm not sure if we're going to hit all 3 by the end of the month, but if we do, if you can go out there and really start plugging and getting your friends and hacking onto their accounts and subscribing for them or following for them, we will potentially be doing an extra special follower one-shot as a special prize for that. So if you really want to play in a game of D&D run by either me or Ryan or both, come out and check us out. So yeah, look out for that. Otherwise, we have a super special one-shot being run tomorrow.
Nope, it's on Saturday.
Saturday. Wow. Why did I think today was Friday?
I don't know.
Are you okay, Sean?
He's real tired.
I get you.
2 days. Man, I really thought today was Friday for a moment. Anyway, being run on Saturday, and you can come and watch Savannah run a honey heist for some of the players on our channel. It won't be during our normal Survivors Complex time. We will instead be earlier, I think at 2 o'clock Eastern is when it's going to start. So at 11 o'clock Pacific time. So come watch that. It'll be a lot of fun.
With your breakfast and coffee?
Yeah.
With honey in it?
Yeah.
Your honey bunches of oats.
There you go. But yeah, come watch that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then on Monday, we will have our next session of Wild Space. Right? Yes.
Yes.
Yesterday was Monday. We didn't have a session. It has been my brain right now. So yeah, come watch that too, because we're ready to get back into it, because spoiler alert, somebody is back. So we're super excited about that. So yeah, I think that's enough stalling for me. So let's just jump right back into the world of Wonderworld. Our cat's attacking me. So last time, or in our last volume, the crew had, or our Wonder unit had journeyed to Subbase 55, just off the coast of Sydney, Australia, where nobody talks with an Australian accent, and brought their new sort of defector, Karma, who was a former F.R.O.S.T member, to the subbase so that she could be debriefed. You had asked for some questions, trying to gather some intel on Frost and what the plan was after they had launched this massive attack against iron facilities all across the globe. As you were in the process of debriefing, there was an incursion or an attack by F.R.O.S.T, hacking many of the systems of the facility, causing it to run a bit haywire. You fought against some drones and other automatons that had turned on you, able to fend them off and eventually making your way down to the mainframe to disable the computer systems, thereby letting in a member of F.R.O.S.T, the elusive Phantasm, who possessed your newfound best friend, the Fantastic Axeman, one of the leaders of W.O.N.D.R, and who then came down, axes ablazing, to attack all of you and hopefully trying to kill Karma. You're able to fend off the possessed Axeman and save the day once again, and save Karma's life once again. And from there, as you went back into the facility to assess the damage, that is sort of where we faded away for that game. So this time on as we come back into focus and come back into our story, you are in an entirely different area of the world, far away from Subbase 55, far away from Tokyo, the area where your W.O.N.D.R unit operates, to the deserts of Egypt, in the city of Cairo. You see the desert sands surrounding there, stretching off for miles and miles and miles, swirling in the high noon sun, the heat burning down on the terrain. However, as the camera pans, you see a gleaming structure at the center of these deserts, a 200 or 300 foot tall spire of pure shimmering steel, stretching far, far up. Almost looks as though it's piercing the clouds overhead, the few of them that there are. And as we zoom towards that facility, you can see, as with many of these EIN facilities, the designation for EIN, the big logo, EIN, plastered across the top of it. And it's there that we cut into the building itself, into a chamber, dimly lit, with dozens and dozens of people sitting around and conversing. There's this mull of conversation, this slight kind of rumbling of dozens of people carrying out individual dialogues. And we pan over to your group, the W.O.N.D.R unit stationed in Tokyo, or from representing Tokyo. We see Cerebellix, Machina, Sentinel, and Accelerando, all have been called here as the chief sort of operators, the most, I guess, involved unit of W.O.N.D.R from the Tokyo region. You've been called here, and you're sitting in your little designated area around this massive conference table within this chamber. Like I said, currently dark. There are windows across the room, but there are shades that have been pulled shut, giving it this sort of ominous, sort of secretive atmosphere. So, as you're sitting around sort of talking, many of you jet lagged from the flight here, or however it is that you might have gotten here. Is there anything, any conversations, anything you wish to do?
I mean, under whatever else is going on, conversation, whatever, Accelerando is drumming his fingers on the table, but using his super speed to do so. So just like. But,
eventually, someone from across the table just leans over a woman with kind of frazzled red hair, looks over at you, and she just says, "Stop that!" And you see like a little bit of kind of smoke trail off from the corner of her mouth as that happens. She just looks at you with this intense like fury of annoyance.
Just hands go up, and then one of his knees starts bouncing, and it's just a blur. It's not as noisy, but so heard you guys had some fun down under. What was that all about?
Yeah, quite the adventure. That one. You know, hacking and evil robot dogs and possession. There was some possession involved.
Sounds like a fun time. So I couldn't
it was
make
not.
it.
It was not a fun time.
You have a strange definition of the word fun.
It turns out being possessed, not great.
Yeah, but it might have been more interesting than that global marathon I was running the past however long that was.
Is that what you were doing?
Yep. Doing it for charity for the kids, you know. But
that's very kind.
Machina, as this conversation is carrying on, and you're seeing this person across the table staring daggers at Accelerando, who's trying to stay as still as possible now. You feel this kind of, not really an itch, but as much of an itch as a roa, kind of this like, sort of uncomfortable kind of warbling within your systems. You currently have like sort of attached to the just like back portion of your cranial region this inhibitor that they have put on you when you came into the room, essentially disrupting any sort of wireless communication to prevent hacking. There's this big sort of push right now. There's this limit to technology in this room. Everybody's phones were taken, all technology was taken for everybody. Since they can't take technology from you, they sort of just put this inhibitor like magnetically attached to the back of your head. And right now it's sort of, you feel as close as a robot could to being drunk right now. Essentially, I think is the best way to sort of describe that.
How do magnets work?
miracles, man. I don't know.
But yeah, many of you, or all of you, have had pretty much any sort of technology taken away from you at this point, as much as they can take away, given the circumstances of people's abilities and lifestyles. I'm glad that you found that funny.
I don't know why that was funny.
I don't know.
But I think me and Savannah did the same face at the same time.
People's lifestyles.
I don't know, man. It's a wonderful world.
It's not just a lifestyle. Machina just is this way.
Yeah.
Baby, I was born this way.
But as you're having these conversations and Machina is sort of just like twitching every now and then, there is a quiet that begins to take over the room, and you see the door open on the far side, and three figures walk in. One of them you recognize as the Fantastic Axeman. Another one you have seen before. You probably know this individual. You've seen pictures of them. They're a fairly popular hero. The Golden Duke. He's this sort of very broad-shouldered, very large, kind of older-looking man. Has a white beard and white hair, but is very fit and is dressed in a suit right now that is entirely made of gold. Or not made of gold, but just gold in color. Gold tie, gold vest, gold jacket, sort of with a slight sheen to it. Takes up a room and knows how to occupy a room. And in the following, or in front of both of them, leading in the room, you see the chairman of W.O.N.D.R, somebody that you've spoken with before, giving your briefings to before, F.R.O.S.T, otherwise known as Eternity, the leader of W.O.N.D.R. And as the three walk in, they make their way on the other side of this massive conference table and sit. Yes.
Savannah had a question.
My hand was raised. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I'd use my permanent telepathic bond with Sentinel to wake him up.
Yes. I'm awake.
Wake up.
I'm awake.
Wake up.
I'm awake. What did I miss? I was awake this whole time. I don't know what you guys were talking about.
And as all three of them sit at the other end of the table, the room goes quiet, and the chairman clears her throat. She says, "Thank you all for coming today, especially under such short notice. We know these circumstances are unusual. Normally, we would conduct these meetings using teleconference as we have in the past. But recent events," and she looks over towards Axeman and then kind of across the table at the four of you. Recent events have shown us we have some safety precautions that need to be taken, and reliance on technology right now isn't the best option that we have, given who we're up against. I'm sure there's many of you know we're still reeling and trying to assess the damages caused by last month's attack by F.R.O.S.T. By our count, the death toll has been assessed at almost 10,000 across the globe, with countless others injured. Luckily, the brave actions of many of you here have limited that figure by cats attacking microphone stands and headphones in the center. I'm going to kill. We're a professional stream, everyone. I am sorry about that. Anyway.
I just kind of expected like the tech issue sign. It's just
yeah. Okay.
This is why Star isn't allowed in any other game.
Yeah, we're back. But she continues. As I said, these numbers have been greatly reduced by the brave actions of many of you here. So thank you once again. I can't say it enough. Without all of you, none of this would be possible. We would have fallen to ruin from these terrorists much, much sooner. On that same note, we have received some intel recently from a defector of F.R.O.S.T based on the actions of the Tokyo unit. They've been able to gather intel from a individual codenamed Karma, who has informed us of F.R.O.S.T's, well, the general area of region of F.R.O.S.T location, and the potential for us to locate our prime target, Zeitgeist. As such, the intel is sparse. We don't have much to go on at this point, so that brings us to the matter at hand today. It's time for us to stop playing defense and to turn the attack against our enemy. We've been able to set up emergency response units in cities across the globe. That should be enough to mitigate any further attacks. So now, the objective is to dispatch each unit into a region where we suspect a Frost subbase might be located, based on intel that we have acquired over the past few years. Some of them might be wild goose chases. Some of them might not have the information that we need, but your objective is to locate any information you can on the location of Frost base in the Kuiper Belt, so that we may dispatch units there to finally rid us of this threat. So, you'll each be receiving dossiers with your tasks and your targets, and hopefully we'll be able to resolve this as quickly as possible and prevent any further loss of life. Any questions? There's kind of this murmur across the room as people look to each other. And none? All right, then. You'll be given your packets upon leaving. Again, this information is of vital importance. Everything is going to be done by analog. Nothing will be stored digitally. We need to reduce the chance for potential data breaches. So make sure, and as she says this, you hear a noise outside. And there's this horrific sort of screeching noise. And then you hear this, and you watch as the wall on the other side of the room from where Attorney is speaking suddenly explodes. And there's this massive burst of flame and debris that fills the room, and there's this slow motion sort of moment where you see one by one each member at the table is suddenly engulfed in flames and incinerated, and you feel
can I try and, as this is happening, super speed and pull as many people away as I can?
You can. Well, here's what happens. So I'll let you decide. So as this is happening, and you're sort of, well, I guess we're sort of seeing this from Accelerando's perspective, because you're able to react to this, and you begin to very quickly try to grab people, but you find yourself making it as this explosion from this missile hits the side of this tower. You watch as people are just disappearing in front of you, and also you feel this heat as the shockwave blasts before you, and you even find yourself, the shockwave hits, and you find yourself being pushed back as well. However, you look over and you see Eternity in that moment. Her eyes flash, and suddenly everything starts happening in reverse again, and the whole wall starts to reform, and the whole essentially building reforms around you, and everyone sort of rights themselves in their chairs. You right yourself back in your chair, finding yourself thrust back in the position that you were before, and there's this moment of distortion all around you after this intense pain, and then that is all taken away again, and then in an instant calm hits, and everybody looks around panicked. Eternity immediately motions towards the wall, and you see the Golden Duke go running over to the shutters and grabs onto them and just rips the wall open with two hands, revealing, you see the windows shatter, metal and steel is pulled to the side, and revealing the outside of the building. And you can see the vast desert stretching out before you, and you can see sand and wind swirling, and it hits you as sand is just thrown into the building. And everyone there can now see far in the distance the missile approaching, and you begin to hear that approaching again as the woman that was at the table before with the smoke kind of trailing off her mouth runs over, leaps out You see a ball of fire forming in her hand as she hovers in the air, fire kind of swirling around her, and she sends a bolt of flame out, striking the missile, which explodes about 400 or 500 yards away from all of you. And there's that shockwave that hits, and everyone sort of rights themselves in that moment. You feel that all the papers and everything on the table are just thrown everywhere. And as the chaos falls away, sirens sort of blaring throughout the building, you have a moment to sort of reel from what just happened. All of that having happened in like about 5 seconds or so.
Well, time to relocate.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the initiative here and say that having a big fuck off tower in the middle of nowhere is probably not a good place to put a hideout.
Eternity turns back towards everyone in the room, and you see she looks different than she did before. Her hair looks a little grayer. She has more like distinct sort of lines across her face. She looks older than she did just seconds ago, visibly so. And she looks to be breathing very heavily from what just happened. She says, "Everybody, you have your orders. Go now. We'll take care of the rest of this. We need to complete this as soon as possible. Dismissed." And as the sirens are blaring, people just start to evacuate the room.
Is it relatively simple to remove the inhibitor from Machina's brain?
Yeah. It wasn't something that was, it's not something that's difficult. It was just there and you could just pull it off.
Since he's kind of like wondering about the magic of magnets, I'm gonna pop that off.
Okay.
Did we have time to get the dossiers?
Actually, as everybody's leaving the room, you can see somebody at the door just sort of thrusting them up here, just like slapping them on people's chests as they're leaving.
I'll grab our teams and just thumb through the whole thing as we're walking.
Okay. You see some of the teams making their way towards the roof, some of the teams making their way towards the sub-basement area, however you arrived. You guys have your super special W.O.N.D.R car, which turns out also flies. So we can deal with that. But you're not going to be able to travel any distance, or backtrack that. You're not going to be able to... Your dossier is giving you the instructions to reconvene at a base not too far from this location. So anything you wish to do to prepare while you're making your travel to that base is up to you.
I mean, I would just read out the details of the dossier to the rest of the team.
That's why the whole time he was gone, we weren't reading the dossiers, because we were just used to him like speed reading them for us.
And we just couldn't be bothered to spend 15 minutes reading them.
Yeah, while you were gone, we didn't read our dossiers at all.
We didn't read anything.
I just had all of it stored inside my brain.
You just didn't remember.
Now that we've gone analog, I'm guessing that's not happening for Machina anymore. But so yeah, what was in the dossier, Sean?
Essentially, the gist of it is that you are to infiltrate and ascertain any information you can from a base suspectedly located in Madagascar. There's a location there's a map and the suspected like range in the area that it might be in. It's a very like dense jungled area, and that's your task. You're going to be you're supposed to meet at a military base just about 50 miles outside of Cairo, where you will be boarding a carrier plane and airdropped into the jungle.
All right. And I tell everyone that.
Excellent.
Since airdrops aren't exactly subtle, I'm going to prep the Goliath body.
It's probably good.
Oh, I am shocked.
Sean,
Much surprise.
Did I get my Icarus landing system?
Yeah.
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 It's the first time I actually get to use it out.
I can hover, so...
I mean, I'm just jumping out of the plane and landing, so...
So is Sentinel. He's not gonna have a parachute. He's just gonna jump.
I'll either use the parachute or get Cerebellix to princess carry me to the
I'll
ground.
carry him. I carry him.
I mean, there are parachutes available for everyone if they want them. I mean, it's up to
We're
you.
big damn heroes. We don't
No.
need no stinking parachutes.
We have all this fancy stuff.
Unless you can figure out some awesome way that your speed might help you.
I
in
mean,
jumping
sometimes
into
the
flight.
Flash like moves his hands quickly, and that does things. But I
Sure.
don't.
Like a propeller.
Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially creating like small like wind distortions that help you fly. I mean, yeah, I'd allow it.
It doesn't look cool.
It looks super cool in the Flash. How
I
many
just
did we
remember
do?
just imagining him landing and being like,
And then just pulls a cheeseburger out of a pocket and scarfs it down for the energy.
oh, I did. If we had any downtime, since I knew that Accelerando was going to be like finishing up his giant charity marathon and coming with us on this next mission, I had like a fridge and a little like mini like travel oven installed in the back of the Wonder-Mobile
Okay.
because he just eats all the time.
I thought you were gonna say installed in
In Machina.
In Machina, no.
He's got like an espresso machine.
yeah, I do that.
That's just always been there. It's just no one's ever asked for a coffee.
But yeah, so we have like a little food station in the truck because he
Okay.
eats a lot.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so you hop in the Wonder-Mobile, or one of the Wonder-Mobiles. I guess it really wouldn't make sense for you to take yours here, but it's one of the ones that's available to you. They've got just like dozens of them lying around.
Oh, we can't take ours?
I mean, it really wouldn't have made sense for you to take your. It's a lot of gas to get from
But ours
us.
is blue, and it's
And
got
like,
fuzzy Christmas dice hanging from the mirror.
and
That's
like,
fine.
it's an expense that Ein pays for.
That is true. Yeah, I mean, you just charge your corporate cards with it.
Yeah, we just charge our corporate.
Yeah,
cards, it's fine.
I charge the Black Amex, and we bring our Wonder-Mobile.
Okay, well, when you guys do your expense report at the end of the quarter, just make sure you report that.
I got it. It's fine. Machina's keeping track of all of it. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Well, at this point, Machina has to change out like the floppy drive because it can't be like uploaded.
I like the idea that Machina uses floppy disks. Like,
Yeah.
he's old school.
So you go zooming across the desert in your hovermobile. Eventually make your way to the base where there is a large carrier plane that is being fueled at this point, and you see the military. We're going to kind of skip through this part, but you get the military soldiers that are all the Ein military soldiers that are kind of rushing around, getting things ready for departure. You're all you board the craft with this sort of Aliens 2 style military unit that are accompanying you for this.
What a reference.
They will surely all survive this.
Are they wearing red shirts? If we're going with references, are they wearing red shirts too?
No, but one looks a lot like Bill Paxton.
I got you.
So there's one like badass Latino chick that is or Latina chick that is there as well. So yeah, that's the aesthetic we're going for right now, which calls for a music change. As the plane departs and goes sort of not really zooming off. It's a slow departure compared to some of the other crafts that you're used to boarding. It takes off and veers towards the east and south in the direction of your target. And slowly, as you're sitting in the plane, you can see out some of the small sort of windows on the side of it. The sun slowly going down, and night begins to fall. There's this the red lights that light the interior of the cargo portion of the plane that you are all strapped into with your other with the other Ein soldiers that are in there are kind of flickering a bit. Some of the soldiers are yelling things back and forth to each other over the roar of the plane, carrying on conversations, but otherwise many of them are sort of quiet and contemplating. One of them actually looks over towards your group, kind of a middle-aged guy, gray beard or gray kind of stubble across his face, a couple scars. He looks over to your group and he says, "You're the ones that were there for the thing in Tokyo with the clone monsters, right?"
Correct.
Yep.
Saw that on the news. It's good work.
How far till the drop?
He looks down at his watch and says, "Probably about 3 more hours. Supposed to be there 0300.
Right.
I don't know military time. I know it's like 3 a.m. though."
Sentinel passes back out. He's just like, good.
One day we'll fly on a plane where we don't all have to yell at each other.
That's the whole point of all of this.
We'll never invent that technology.
I'm lucky I just have a volume control.
Someone flips on the noise canceller in the cargo and suddenly everything goes very quiet. So it says, "Why wasn't that on the entire time?"
What did you think this was? The 21st century? God.
I don't know how this works. I just work here.
So the next few hours pass, and eventually, in sort of that dead of night, you get the signal that the drop zone's coming up. All the everyone in the plane in the carrier begins to prep themselves, tightening straps, clipping weapons onto their packs and their belts, getting everything ready. You all prep in whatever way you need to. And as the plane approaches, there's a count as the ramp of the carrier descends, opening up. There's a swirl of air, and one by one, everyone falls out of the hatch into the still night air. You feel the wind rushing past you. And everyone sort of descends. You see from the outer visual of this, all of the soldiers, one at a time, kind of these dark parachutes descending, all of them down towards the jungle, while the rest of you just sort of continue to plummet for the most part, just until the last second, where all of you, in some superhero badass way, you got Machina just lands in the jungle first. Then you have Sentinel and the Cerebellix. Cerebellix kicking on your hover boots just a little bit over the jungle canopy, and then hovering there for a moment as you slowly descend down towards the ground. And much in the same way, Sentinel, you feel or you engage your what was it you were going to call it again?
It's the Icarus landing system.
Okay. You engage the system, which sort of sparks a number of these sensors across your body that nullify sort of gravitational fields, causing your descent to slow at a rapid pace, but you don't feel like there's no pressure, there's no G-force or anything. Suddenly, just feet above the ground, you're suddenly slower, and then you land. And you just sort of zoom through a gap in the trees, landing silently on the jungle floor. And then last, you hear this above you as there's this like tornado of air that you see your companion Accelerando creating by rapidly spinning his arms, that is slowing his descent until the last moment, and then lands on the ground, which has just cleared out the jungle that you guys have all landed in, and all the debris that Machina has created upon his landing.
Well done. Well done, everyone.
That worked better than I thought it would.
I shuck off the parachute pack that I took just in case that didn't work. Actually, no. I'll hold on to it. It can. There will be some use for it.
Superhero landing meme achieved.
You did. We had a successful superhero landing, and that's our session for tonight. Well done.
All right, guys, that was fun. Hopefully, see you guys next month. Bye.
No. So you're all in this dark. Go for this song. Yeah. You all find yourselves in this dark jungle environment. You hear the cacophony of hundreds of animals and insects and all sorts of creatures. This life throughout the jungle around you that is almost deafening to the point of the disruption that you have all caused upon your landing, sort of reinvigorating the animal life around you. You can hear kind of crashing out in the jungle around you, the signs that the soldiers that are accompanying you have made a successful descent. But for the most part, you guys are alone right now.
Can I put on my goggles and try to do a general scan of the area?
Sure.
See what's going on. I use my scan ability.
Okay. So you get you put on your goggles and you sense outwards, and you sort of get these boop, 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 like these signs of life around you, and you're able to focus and kind of, there are bats and birds and small primates and all the sorts of creatures around you that you kind of tune those out, not seeing any real threats there, and you focus and kind of mark all the locations of the soldiers, seeing that all of them have safely landed in the general vicinity around you and are kind of slowly beginning to sort of reconvene in your general area. And you do notice, kind of focusing your senses, that there is a disruption. You sense in a perfect circle kind of radiating out from you, but just about probably, I'm going to say, because you're not inside, you get a pretty long range at this point. Probably 400 or 500 yards from your location. You can sense that circle that you're sensing. There's a dip in it, a place that you're not reaching to. Something's blocking your sensing.
Interesting. Something's blocking my scan.
That don't happen much, does it?
Ever.
Yeah, that can't be a good thing.
I assume we have a destination then.
I mark it on Machina's map. Fallout style.
And I start walking through the jungle.
Which is actually just because you're going analog, it's just a map that you guys have taped to its back.
Yeah.
No, you can still have your map, but analog was a loose term. You still have most of your tech, you just don't have Wi-Fi capacity at this point.
He's turned Wi-Fi off.
Yeah, you're on airplane mode.
Oh man. I'm gonna as we're going, man, he's gonna make a lot of noise. I'm gonna hover as we're going, so I'm not creating footsteps, even though nobody would probably hear them or see them since Machina's with us.
Well, just the footsteps, the sounds of trees being pushed over.
Yeah. Tyrannosaurus Rex in Jurassic Park. But I want to hover along, and I want to keep him in my eye line and follow him, but I don't want to stay right next to him.
Okay.
I'm effectively trying to sneak, I guess. Superhero sneak.
Okay. You can let's see. You want to make a stealth skill check?
Oh. I don't know how to do that.
Do you have are you trained in stealth?
Nope.
All right, we'll just do this dexterity based, or not dexterity, speed based.
Okay.
Yeah, that works. A speed task, we'll say difficulty for this is A 2.
Are my boots contributing to this since I'm not walking?
Um,
I don't have like footsteps or like I'm not leaving tracks or anything.
sure. I'll say this reduces the difficulty by 1. So it's a difficulty 1. Just have to roll 3 or higher.
I rolled a natural 20. Amazing.
Yeah, that was the time to do it.
Incredible. Not a waste at all.
First roll of the game, everybody.
All right.
You essentially vanish. You're able hovering through the air. You're just you're at that perfect altitude where you're below most of the branches, the larger branches, but you're well above everyone else. It's a pretty dense jungle. If you're familiar with Madagascar, they have the strange kind of shaped trees. So most of the branches are very high up. And there's some dense foliage underground that your companions are kind of having to push their way through. So you're at a perfect altitude. And with your dark leathers and dark clothing, you're just sort of hovering there like a silent watcher.
I am the watcher on the walls. Yeah, I telepathically say to Sentinel, like, I told you the black outfit was gonna come in handy. Where am I right now?
Well, I wasn't the one that said that it wouldn't work. But I can't see you, so I have no idea where you are.
This is awesome.
Amateurs.
I have a PhD.
You're never gonna let that one go.
No.
Do you see anything since, you're wherever you are?
I just keep kind of scanning around and just make sure that we're still heading towards whatever that like dip was, where the block started.
And that dip becomes more and more pronounced, and eventually it's blocking almost all of your vision forward until you all reach a point and you hear the soldiers kind of around you. There's one of the soldiers, the grizzled one that you were speaking to before, has been in sort of general vicinity of your group, kind of tagging along with you. Most of them are sort of following your lead at this point, just fanning out through the jungle. And he holds up a hand to hold, and you all see as you approach, there's this spot on the ground where you see this almost like this cable that is stretching out in both directions through the jungle. And there's this pronounced barrier there. The cable is specced with these probes or these sensors along it that don't look to be producing anything. There's no shimmer, there's no sign, but you all sense, or you all feel this like low hum, like this audio frequency coming from it. That's making you sort of slightly uneasy as you're approaching it. And you see this is the source of what's disrupting your scan right now, Cerebellix.
Anyone know what kind of tomfoolery this is?
Can we inspect it, or?
Somebody who has what kind of check do you want to make to try to identify this or to figure out what it might be?
Can I make an understanding or identifying machines check?
Identify machines, I think, would be perfect for this.
Does the servo help with that? No, that's just using things.
Yeah. And I'd say this is a difficulty. I'm going to say this is a 4. This is some difficult, it's like pretty complicated machinery.
Well, I roll a 6.
That's not going to be enough.
And if I had only rolled a little bit more, I would have been fine, but no.
Can I, while they're doing this, I want to use telepathic to also create a two-way telepathic bond with the soldier guy that's in charge of the other soldiers. So we could talk to each other silently, just in case, as like a safety measure. And I just want to be keeping an eye out for movement or things that aren't like bats and lemurs.
All right.
I assume there are lemurs here.
No, there are no lemurs in Madagascar.
I saw the movie.
That's a misnomer.
While like they're all doing that and we're all just sitting there doing nothing, I don't know if I can, but can I just use my Overwatch ability? It's an action. If I see anyone coming out of the darkness to like attack us, then I get like the surprise attack or whatever.
Sure.
Cool.
So you guys have all the soldiers have stopped at this barrier and are waiting for you, or I say barrier, at this object, this obstruction. It's not very big. You could easily step over it. But they're all waiting to cross or to figure out what to do, whether it's dangerous or not.
How likely are they? This is posing out loud to the group. How likely are they, if I'm real fast, would the sensors catch me?
Well, it all depends on how fast you are, I guess.
I mean, I'm real fast. The question is, can I ferry people over fast enough?
I guess my question is, do we think this is like an alarm system? Or do we think this is like across the line into the minefield and it blows us up, you know?
Well, if it's a sensor, it's gotta be made for things to cross. You're in a heavily dense jungle. We don't see any like burned bodies of lemurs around, do we?
No, actually,
no dead lemurs.
Actually, there are no animals in this area.
Okay.
It's actually much quieter right around this barrier.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Let's see, we have some kind of communicator device, right?
Yes.
The team.
We have interplanetary communication devices.
Yep.
Yeah.
So-
which will essentially say are small like Bluetooth earbuds.
Yep. So if I just start running around the perimeter looking for any differences, that won't be too much of an issue of me getting out of range of communication.
As long as it's on the same planet.
Yep. So I guess I'll let them know. I'm gonna go check around, see if it changes anywhere, and then just take off and check the perimeter.
They're
Okay.
interplanetary. It's on my sheet. I swear. I swear, Sean. I'm not making this up.
I gave them to you. I don't know how far the range is on them. Yeah, you go zooming off into the jungle, and then you run, and he's gone for about 2 minutes. But your perspective, Accelerando, you run about 60 miles or so to the coast, and then probably another 30 or 40 miles looping around, and then probably 60 miles. Like, I mean, it's a massive circle, and you go in a far kind of sweeping pattern all around this, over terrain, up hills, and it stays in an even kind of snaking with the terrain for this perfect circle around one section of the coast, near this kind of at the northernmost edge of the island.
Okay.
And then come popping back out of the jungle. And you do notice as you're going through, in the same way that there is here, animal life is sort of non-existent right around this circle.
And so when it got to the coast, did it seem like it went in the water, or how was that?
No, you were probably about a quarter mile from the coast. Like, it was close enough to see it. It didn't go right up to the water.
Mhm.
It didn't abut the water.
Yep. So, yeah, it stays in a circle, hugs the terrain. It doesn't go to the water, but obviously we'd lose any cover from the jungle if we opted to try and go around it that way. I also don't know, big guy, Machina, if you've got some kind of tunneling capabilities, but maybe you could try digging through some of the hills that it went over.
Unfortunately, I don't have any drills.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to make another? Am I allowed to have another go identifying this?
I'll let you spend an XP to make the check again. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right. And you can spend efforts if you want to.
Well, hey, roll a 13.
Yeah, that's enough because you're just a 5. Yeah, you're or lose to a 3. What's that, 9? Yeah, you are good. You look at this. This actually doesn't look to be a sensor or anything. Based on what you're seeing, it just looks to be some sort of device that is emitting this very low frequency. And based on sort of the feeling that you're getting and the readings you're getting from this, it looks like the purpose of this frequency is to deter animal life from passing over it or into it. It's essentially a fence, just eco-friendly.
This seems to just be an emitter, keeping away wildlife.
Interesting.
Well, if I get blown up, at least save something of me. And he takes a step over the thing.
Okay. You step over it, and as you step over, that uneasiness sort of reaches its apex as you're as close to this thing as you can be. But you step over it, nothing happens.
Well, that was more anticlimactic than I wanted it to be, but that's a good thing.
Yep. All right, let's keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You all one by one step over it. The soldiers do the same. Very, very slowly. You hear them all in the jungle continuing their procession forward. So you continue on into the jungle, and as you pass, eventually that uneasiness sort of fades. That uneasiness caused by that, you're still probably a little bit uneasy depending on who you are and how you feel about dense nighttime jungles. Are you asking a question, or are you saying you're uneasy?
Both? I'm very uneasy right now. Also, I'm just reading my abilities. So I can have more than one telepathic bond going at a time, which is awesome. So with his consent, would like to also create a telepathic bond with Accelerando. So I've always got one with Sentinel. I've got one right now with Accelerando and one with in
Soldier
charge.
75.
Yeah, Soldier 75.
His name is Francis. He's got
With Francis.
He's got a husband and 2 kids.
I just wanted to address him by his title. With Francis. And I think we established that I can't have one active with Machina.
No.
Right, and so I'll just remind him not to get too far away.
Okay.
You want to say it.
Your character has attachment issues or maybe abandonment issues.
Do not go far from me.
So now everybody's in the chat room except for Machina.
He's just pushing over trees at this point.
It's really just a safety measure. I'll tell everybody, just in case we feel like we need to be real quiet, you guys can just think thoughts. It's a two-way bond. It doesn't go to everyone, but so those 3 people are now telepathically connected with me. And I can
So
talk
you're
with
the
them.
relay point. It's not actually a group chat.
No, it's not a group chat.
As you're proceeding into the jungle and staying low, eventually you do hear signs of animal life within here again. Creatures moving around in the darkness. And at one point, something goes scurrying past you on the ground. And you sort of take a double take at it. Because it's like, you thought it was a small sort of monkey or something at first, or a lemur or something like that. But while it did have that sort of furred appearance, but it had 2 heads and like tendrils or tentacles for arms. It just goes off into the distance.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's not a sign of anything bad to come. Accelerando, what do we know of this place?
What did the dossier say about this place, other than it's probably a frost base?
They just essentially there were some rumors from the locals that their people had gone missing in this area. There were some like legend or like some like local myths and stuff around creatures or anything in this area that people had encountered, but most of that was on superstition. It had been sort of in the local culture for a long time, so it would have been before Frost was even here. But it seemed like the sort of thing that, based on the intel that you had, the reason why they suspected this might be a Frost base is that they might be capitalizing on some of that local superstition to in order to create kind of a secret base here.
Well, weird stuff happens to locals disappear based on what we just saw run past. I think it's not too unfair a guess to say this is probably some kind of weird, freaky biological experimentation site.
Well, we do know Frost is sort of into that kind of thing.
Yeah, with
AKA the clone disaster.
Genetic mutants, yeah. Well, we should probably just keep an eye out and make sure we don't get eaten by some kind of crazed monster.
Can I do a scan again and see if I can scan like inside the fence?
Sure, yeah. So you scan out again and you see like boop, 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 boop. You are able to scan, and you sense everyone in the vicinity, and then one less, and then one less, and another one, and
Francis?
slowly it stops. How did you know my name?
We'll talk about it later. Are you watching your men?
He puts his finger to a communicator. Delta Squad, come in.
If I'm hearing any of this, I'm gonna take off and like go check who was the furthest out and like see if they're there still.
Okay.
Ping everyone.
All right. You there are a few that are still in your area. However, there as you go zooming off into the jungle, you pass by one or two, and you get to where the other squad of about 4 should be. You come to a halt as there are just body parts littering the area.
Well, something is dismembering the soldiers. What to do?
Does he say this out loud? Or to
I mean,
the
it would have been
communicator?
yeah, I guess communicator and thinking it to Cerebellix.
Okay.
Group
Well, I
up.
didn't know if he was saying it like out loud.
Group up with me. Group up.
Yep.
Now.
I'll go and just tell all the individual soldiers that the ones I passed and run to the other side.
Okay. So you alert the soldiers. You go to the other side, and you do see that there are some missing on the other side too. You can see some drag marks off into the jungle, and all the soldiers begin to convene. So you form kind of a semicircle there. Now about half the number than you were before. Start off with 12 or 3 4-man squads, and you're essentially down to about 6 at this point. Or no, you'd be down to 4 because 2 of the squads are gone. So you got 4 guys and your group.
It's night, right?
Yes, it is still night. God. They are bad tonight.
The cat just straight up opened the door.
All right. Yes, it's still dark.
Do we
It's
have
still
any like night vision goggles that we can see, or
do
like
have-
infrared?
Do you have any night vision goggles?
Well, I was maybe.
It's
Yes, I took
an
night
inventory
vision.
thing.
Yeah, I have to check my inventory. Yes, I have night vision infrared goggles.
I'd say that makes sense for Sentinel.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
or
He-
your scope on your gun probably has some infrared sight on it too. But
Oh, yeah. So he's going to flick that to infrared and just start panning around to see if he sees any like heat signatures other than us, or
Okay.
cold signatures, as the case may be.
Okay. So you flip that on and begin to pan through the jungle. You see illuminated your companions around you, and you begin to scan through the jungle. And as you do that, you do catch some smaller little blips like creatures moving, but all the creatures seem to be moving away. You see like small little lemurs, these little tentacled monkeys that are fleeing into the distance. And you're all noticing it's getting very quiet in your area. And as you pan, you look up, you can see kind of moving through the branches above you is a very large form. And then you wheel around, and there's another one behind you. Two massive, amorphous, almost looking creatures. You can't really, in this infrared look, it's pieces coming off here and there. It's clearly illuminated, but multiple appendages. It's very long, kind of snake-like body, and you aren't entirely sure what it is.
He telepathically to Cerebellix. We're not alone. Up in the trees. They're behind us, and there's two.
I want to scan where he's telling me to look, because I can get I can reveal its level, so how powerful, dangerous, or difficult it is, and whatever facts the GM feels are pertinent about it.
Okay.
If I can like focus in on those creatures, if I can figure out what they are.
Okay. You look up at his direction and you begin to scan out in that area, and you're scanning on your scan now to these creatures, which you didn't sense before, only because you're not sensing one creature, but you're sensing multiple with each one. The level on them is 6 for each one.
I don't know what that means.
I mean, as far as you asked for it, so I gave it to you.
What level am I?
You're not leveled. You're a character.
Okay, cool.
So it's an intimidating challenge if you're looking at the task thing.
Sorry, that's just me as a player, not really knowing the minutia of this game.
A step below formidable, a step above challenging.
Okay.
For instance, the level of, so everybody out there that's watching, the level of a creature determines the task difficulty on anything you try to do. So against it, so
difficult, but not terribly impossible.
Yeah, but as the two creatures move in, your senses of this creature are that it is some amalgamation of multiple different creatures, kind of stitched or combined, molded into one. And as you're sensing that, you see them snake down the trees, and they both sort of leer back as you see them then lurch forward towards your group. And you see these two shrieking creatures come soaring out from the darkness in the direction of your group. So I'm going to need everyone, since you are very well aware of this, to make initiative checks. The difficulty is a 6.
Oh, jeez.
That's a natural 19 on initiative, which I guess is the minor effect, but...
Yeah, and then you had a a 3 power shift too, so it had already brought it down, and you're trained in it, so it already brought it down to a 2.
And because the edge makes it so that if things have a point cost, it doesn't, like, edge removes that.
Okay.
That's how it works. So I also have this danger sense, which costs 1 speed point, but I have 1 speed edge. So I just initiative is nothing to me.
Yeah, no, you're good. You always go before things, essentially. I think the rest of you fail.
I have a 9, but I'm specialized, so it gives me a +6,
which puts it at a 15. You need to roll an 18 in order to beat that.
Well, buddy, I think we're going last.
Yep.
I got me a 7.
Nice.
Which, makes sense. Come on. Super speed guy goes first and everything.
Yeah. Yep. And so
we can't be the super cool ones all the time.
I picked them out. Everyone else can shoot them first.
Accelerando, you suddenly everything slows down around you as you initiate sort of that hyper adrenaline rushing through your body, and you get an instant read of the situation. You see these 2 very large creatures come bursting out, each one with 3 massive, like, sort of goat or ox-like heads with large sort of spiraling horns. They have insectoid-like legs kind of pinned against their chest and clattering that sort of morph into the 2 goat-like legs in the front that also have these insectoid sort of appendages. Their long body transitions from the rough fur to greenish lizard-like scales and a spiked tail at the very end. This horrible construction of multiple different creatures all somehow fused into one, and both of them are shrieking as they go soaring out into their lurching forward and out of the jungle.
Okay, can I tell based on their trajectory who each of the creatures is aiming for?
It looks like one is going for a soldier and the other one is going for sentinel.
Okay. I know Sentinel can mostly take care of himself, so I'm gonna try and run, jump, and intercept the one going for the soldier, and try and knock it off course with, I guess, attacking with a nightstick. I forget how to do this game.
No, that's fine. So yeah, you make an attack with your nightstick. Difficulty is 6. So if you have anything you want to reduce that by or apply any...
I think my power shifts are plugged in already.
Okay. So that puts it down to a 3. I think you have a 3 power shift?
Yeah.
Okay, so
because I've got 1 on accuracy and then I have the single attack thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so rolling that. What is effort stuff to try and make it better?
That's something you have to do that before the roll.
Gotcha.
But if you want to, you can also apply a. This is where I'll sort of learn the rules here again.
Mm-hmm.
You can also apply spend an XP to make the roll again if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think I'll do that. So trying again. That looks good.
Yep.
So it was a 3, now it's a 9.
Okay. So you deal, it's 5 damage?
5 damage, yeah.
All right. So you go careening through the jungle, kind of zooming around to the side of this creature. You leap up in the air with your nightstick in hand, and you just whack it on the side of its leftmost head, causing the whole thing to veer to the right and then go crashing to the ground, missing the soldier that it was aiming for. So that will put it to their turns now, and so that one has missed the soldier and kind of turns around looking at you. The other one is now soaring through the jungle, still at Sentinel. So Sentinel, I need you to make a speed. Actually, I need both of you to make. Sure. Yeah, make speed defense rolls.
Defense.
So this is Sentinel and me, you said? Or?
Yes, and these ones are actually level 5. They're 1 less due to their large size.
Okay. I'm not rolling well tonight.
I'm guessing the power shift is already in it. Because I have power shift 1.
You have power shift 1. No, yours was not automatically. So you put it to a 4, which means you had to roll a 12.
Okay, so I didn't. But
Okay, but so
because I rolled a 3.
3, and it doesn't look like it did anything there. But bringing it down from a 5 to a 2.
Yeah, and that would have put it at a 6. So you just had to roll a 6 or higher. So I think you succeed. I don't know why the thing's doing that. So yeah, so you are able to. So Sentinel, the large one, comes leaping out of the jungle and bites onto you. You feel the searing pain in your shoulder as this one of the goat-like heads bites onto you. You take 4 points of damage, and
that goes to might first, right?
Might first, yeah.
Thank you.
And Accelerando, as this one is looking at you and hissing in your direction, you see its tail whip around and actually sends a barrage of spikes from its tail straight at you, and you are able to just dodge out of the way, sort of matrix away from them as they all go sailing through the air and slam into a tree. All right, and it's the rest of your turns now, so who wants to go?
I mean, Machina can go.
I'm going then, because I'm going to walk right up to the one that attacked. Who do I like the most? I'm going to go for the one that is currently attacking Accelerando.
Okay.
And I am going to do my light punch on it.
All right.
What's the difficulty to hit these guys?
It is a 6.
Go for the punch. And I rolled an 18.
Nice.
The attack gets +2 damage as well, so I do 13 points of damage with my punch.
Damn. All right, so 13 points. Wow. Okay. So you go goosh, 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 and go for sort of a haymaker on that one, and you slam into one of the goat head that's on its left, or all the way on your right, the one that Accelerando had hit before. And as you knock into it, you feel its skull sort of crack under the blow of your punch. Actually slams it into the skull next to it. Both of those sort of dazed and kind of rolling downward. It's just the one head on the end that's kind of looking around. It looks like the only one that's conscious at this point.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay. That will... Okay, so who wants to go next?
I'll go.
All right.
I am so inclined to try to attack the one near Sentinel, because I know that my brain blasts can't hurt him because of our telepathic connection. So hoping that these things have brains, I'm gonna try to mind slice that one.
Okay. So make your attack.
I rolled an 11.
You have a
There are
-5 difficulty.
so many numbers happening right now. I can't even read this.
So here's the best way to do it. Just tell me what your modifier is on that. So what's your
-5?
Okay.
To the difficulty.
So that puts it to a 1, which means all you have to roll is a 3.
Excellent. I win.
Okay. So you send out that mind slice of the one that's attacking Sentinel, you said?
Yes.
All right. It's 11 points of damage. Nice.
Yeah, and that does, the mind slice is the one that does ignore armor. Because it's like psychic damage, so it's 11 straight damage to that guy.
All right.
Unless he has brain armor.
They're so dumb that it doesn't hurt them as much.
Or unless his brain's a robot.
or multiple brains, and they just start offloading body functions.
You do send out that mind slice at one of the 3 heads, and it does seem to react to that and sort of screeches in pain, and then that head lolls down and ceases to move. Okay, and Sentinel.
Oh, the one that is he like still like on top of me, or?
He bit you and you were able to wrench yourself free, so
All
you're...
right. I'm gonna shoot that one.
All right.
12, but I have a negative, because it's a mod of 4 and then trained, so it says I beat a difficulty 4.
Yeah, so you're yeah, because your target would have been 3 for that. So yeah, you're good. So you hit it and deal 15 damage to the one that was attacking you before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as it's biting down at you, you bring out your rifle and sort of jam it straight up into the chest, and just kind of hip firing at this point. You send out a cacophonous explosion that rocks through this jungle, and you see just a spray of gore from the other side of the creature as guts and pieces go flinging off in the jungle. The insect-like legs kind of clattering against it and scraping at the ground as the whole thing lurches a few times. It's gore and blood kind of spewing out everywhere, and then kind of crawls off to the side and rolls up. The whole thing coils and stops moving. That creature is dead. And then that puts it back around to Accelerando.
Okay, so there's just one bad dude left, which is, I believe, currently kind of engaged with Machina.
Yes, just got punched in one of its 3 faces by Machina.
Yep, so I'm gonna run up to one of the... Actually, no, I'll run up to the same face that got punched. Run up and Shoryuken it with the nightstick and then get away from it.
Okay.
Or at least attempt to do that. We'll see. So this is difficulty 6.
Yes.
That looks like a failure. So I got an 8, but it's minus mod of 3. But so no, that is still a failure.
Yeah, you still miss on that one. So you go zooming up. You bring up your nightstick and go leaping towards the head of this creature, but it seems to recoil around the same time, and it seems like its target has sort of changed, and it goes snaking off, just barely missing it. The thrust with your nightstick just screeching into the air, missing the strike. So that will be its turn, and it's the only one that's left. It actually is going to, you see it reel around, having this massive punching robot at it, and then having this fast little thing that's just wailing on it too. You see it kind of snakes over at a very quick speed. It grabs onto one of the soldiers, sort of pinning it against it with all these insect-like legs, and then leaps off into the jungle and begins to kind of go into the canopy with its kind of climbing through the canopy and climbing away, retreating with its prey. And you hear the soldier sort of screaming as he is pulled off into the jungle.
I don't know if we're still in initiative order for this.
I'd say if anybody wants to react to it.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go chasing off after it.
I mean, if I can raise my scope and find it, can I take a shot at it?
Yeah, you can take a shot. I'd say the difficulty is going to be a little bit higher because it's got a lot of cover, but you can definitely take a shot.
Can I take a shot with my heavy blaster?
You both can take a shot, yeah.
Can I mind slice it?
Sure, everybody just barrage attacks at it.
Alright, so...
I don't want it tattling on us.
I'm going to use my effort thing, spend one from my pool to decrease the difficulty by 1 as well. I actually remember how to play this game, holy crap.
I'm starting to get the hang of this game, guys.
No, you're the only one that knows the rules, Alex, you know this. Are we all just rolling? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Well, I was waiting for Alex to go because he was like, I'm going to do this and this and this.
Heavy block. Yes. Rolling 18, which beats difficulty 6.
Okay.
I reduced the difficulty by 1 anyway, and I've got a -1 mod with my attack anyway.
Okay, and I want everyone to go. So everyone that's doing something in this moment, I want this Avengers style finisher on this creature.
I rolled a 6, but I decreased the difficulty by 5.
Yeah, you're fine.
God.
So I do 11 like psychic damage to it.
So it's
Cool.
difficulty 6, or you said it's up 1 because of cover. But if I'm running up to it,
So you're running up to it, so you don't,
Yeah.
because you cleared the distance between it, sort of running up into the trees.
Yep. Yeah. So just nightstick attack. That looks good. That's a natural 19. So
Nice.
+3 damage there. So 8 damage on it.
Okay.
And then I am going to use one of my actions to use my pierce. So if I hit something, I get an additional point of damage.
Okay.
So 9, but I decrease it by 5 steps.
Yeah, buddy.
Nice. So all of you hit. So this is sort of what I see happening. So Accelerando, you go racing off into the trees. You actually run up one of the trees, leaping off of it. You slam into the side of this creature with your nightstick, causing it to release its grip on the soldier. You're then able to catch on just to the back of the soldier's armor and go rolling off into the jungle and kind of to the jungle floor, and getting him out of harm's way. Just as this barrage of attacks hits the creature, you see the mind slice stuns it for a minute. It goes kind of falling out of the tree, just at the same time as both the blaster strike and the shot from the rifle connect kind of center mass with the creature and causing it just to explode in a chunk of gore and various animal body parts that just crash and litter the jungle floor.
I will rush the soldier back over to the group because presumably someone has more field medic skills than I do.
I am a
Seems-
doctor.
Yeah, it seems to be mostly fine. Actually, probably all the damage you took was just from the fall, but it's just a little scratched up. Not too bad.
I scan him to make sure he's okay.
He's been infected.
It's literally like my greatest ability.
He's been infected. Kill him now!
I do have a medical degree. I'll check him out just real quick, like once over, make sure that his like ankle isn't going to give out or something.
Okay. Yeah, you look him over. I mean, he's probably gonna be pretty sore. Might have a cracked rib or something, but otherwise, seems like he's okay.
All right.
I mean, he's toughing it up, and he just turns up. He's like, "I'm fine.
Of course you are, Soldier 73.
I'm 74."
It's really dark.
He goes. He just ignores you.
It's the thought that counts.
Telepathically, let it go.
Let it go.
I just start humming "Let It Go" in my brain,
She
and you can all hear it.
She wakes me up with the System of a Down. I calm her down with "Let It Go."
Teamwork, guys.
So glad I'm the only one she can't be psychic with right now.
We're the worst superhero team. They would never make a movie about us. But they should.
It'd be one of those comedy superhero movies.
Yep.
I don't know if Sean froze or not. Nope, he didn't.
No, he's just so disappointed that we thought he was frozen.
404 error. Sean not found.
Frozen, as it were.
So, in the wake of this battle, is anybody doing anything? You guys just continuing through the jungle?
Did anybody get hurt?
Sentinel did a bit. I think we managed to save all the red shirts after we figured out they were dying.
Yeah, everyone else is fine, I think.
Do we... I know there are... It's not my brain is always in D&D mode, so I'm like, the recovery rolls, I'm looking at my sheet. You can do like one as an action, and then every one you do after that, it goes up on the timeline. So it becomes, it's an action, and the next one is 10 minutes, and the next one is
an hour.
An hour. So do we want to just like do that real quick, since I don't think anybody else got bit?
Yeah, I mean, if I can heal at least some of this damage, that'd be okay.
If I like, I don't know if there's like an assisting mechanic in this game, but if I can like help, because listen, guys,
I am
a doctor. Would that like add anything, or can I like help people on their recovery rolls?
I'll say, are you trained in medicine? Or do you have, like,
I have
skills?
Science
Okay,
and
I'll just say
knowledge.
Make just an intelligence roll then.
I'm good at those, theoretically. Yeah. Or not. I rolled 2.
Okay. I'm gonna say right now it's it's the best you can, but it won't necessarily affect this roll. But you can make a recovery roll.
Cool.
Which is 1d6 plus your tiers, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. So because I'm just tier 1. I don't know what that means. So 2, I guess. So I'd heal 2. Okay.
Yeah, you rolled a 1, then you plus 1.
That's better.
I tried to help.
No, that's good. I'm almost back at full. So.
All right.
Just cauterize the wound.
So having dispatched the chimera creature, you guys are all continuing forward with the soldiers now? Okay.
Do we hear, because 2 of us that are fighting have really loud instruments of death, do we hear anything in the distance where it's like, people shouting or other creatures that are coming toward us? Because we did make a lot of noise.
Just want to say a thing. I am the loud instrument of death.
Yes. Okay. We have a loud instrument of death in me.
You stop for a second, sort of thinking about that and kind of peering off into the jungle, preparing yourself in case something else comes. No.
Cool.
No alarms or anything like that at this point.
Awesome. So yeah, we probably should just keep going.
So as you proceed through the jungle and go kind of pulling your way, heading close to the center of where you imagine this this circle or this barrier leads to, eventually you do reach an area that looks to be a bit more like cleared out. There's the trees are uprooted and it looks like deforested in this area. And at the center, you see a relatively small building, one story, probably only about 30 feet on each side. It looks like a bunker almost, but it's relatively small in the middle of this massive field. And you do see the telltale domes of like cameras at the corners of the building.
So it's just like one story kind of squat building?
One story squat building, 30 feet on each side, square, no windows, one set of doors leading into it.
And we see the cameras, right?
Yeah.
Before you shoot them,
I was gonna ask if Machina could do anything about it before I did anything.
Okay, it's like I'm in your brain.
You are in my brain. You're literally in my brain. It's weird.
That was the joke. It's highbrow humor.
I'm not highbrow.
I have a PhD.
You are definitely highbrow. All of this happened in our heads.
Yep. Hey, Machina.
Yes.
I think this is your moment. Not that this whole like mission hasn't been your moment, to be honest.
I mean, I could take them out, but it'd probably be easier if you did something.
Can you like confuse them or like what is it they do on all the crime shows? Like loop the feed?
Can you loop the signals?
I saw Ocean's 11.
You watched it in the plane right here.
I did. I can't believe I hadn't watched it before, to be honest. What a fantastic film for its genre.
You know, for someone with a PhD, there's a lot going on. Machina, could you?
I'm currently looking at my things.
He's going through the Rolodex of stuff that he has. What can I do?
Is there a rule in the Cipher System book for specializing in looping the feed?
AKA, can he hack the system?
Do you know what? This book is like 500 pages long. There probably is.
Yeah, there probably is. I'd say you could probably do it if you have technology or you have using machines and stuff like that. But the issue,
I would have to get close.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going to have to hardline in, which with the underbrush, something small might be able to make its way there. If you had some sort of small robotic
You have a very long
device.
extension cord.
Well, it's funny you should say something exactly like that, Sean, because I actually just opened up this little compartment in my chest and abdomen that wasn't there before, and out jumps a little robot dog.
All right, and it kind of as it leaps out of the chest,
Poochie!
like a monster alien, except a tiny little dog. And you all see this tiny little scrap pieces of the like the Crazer robots you fought before, all patched together into a little bit smaller mini version, and it's one sort of robot eye kind of looks back up towards you for a kill command or just a
Yeah, basically gonna tell the robot dog, this is weird because I'm also half talking to myself when I talk to it.
Yeah.
That this is a weird thing. Basically command it to go and interfere with the camera feeds, telling it what I want it to do.
Yeah. And you give it the command, and I mean you're sort of hard. You don't really even need to give it a command because it is sort of like an extension of you. So as soon as it leaps out, you take control of it, and it goes rushing off into the underbrush. Just kind of, you can see a little bit of rustling as it makes its way forward, and then you see from its little robot camera, it goes through the underbrush. You see another one of those tentacle lemurs come rushing past. This one now looking much larger by perspective. And it makes its way to the building, and it kind of skulks around the side. You're able to find a panel on the side of the building that it might be able to hardline into. So we'll say it has some sort of like extendable, like kind of probe thing that pops out of it. Yeah. And snakes up and then plugs itself into the panel there. So make a what skills do you have you think would be appropriate?
Using machines.
Perfect. Yeah, do that.
Aha, this is what I'm specialized in. I rolled an 8. Which reduced the difficulty by two because I'm specialized in the thing, but
okay, so that would be the difficulty 4. You're not sure. You think you've got a loop going, but you're not. Based on the signal you're getting right now, the robot is saying that the feed has been looped and that you're good to go, but you're just not sure if it actually succeeded, or if there might be some sort of coding thing going on, some sort of tamper hardware that might keep it from being tampered with.
Well, as far as I'm aware, everything's worked, but I don't know, there might be something off with their software or hardware.
All right, so we should still try to sneak through and be careful.
Yes, sneak.
All right, well, most of us will try to sneak. You, on the other hand, will just kick down the door if things go wrong.
Well, that's how we sneak, is just him making all of the noise. And
Right,
us
he
going
goes
around
off to
it.
the other side, and then, yeah, we can do that.
I was gonna say, you guys can sneak through, and for the most of you, I think it's gonna be about like I'd say a 5 to make it through, because it's gonna be pretty hard to stay low enough. For Machina, it's gonna be a 10. This is an impossible.
I am 10 foot tall, and
Are you even trying to sneak? Like,
So what would this be under? Just like...
it's gonna be your speed. If you're trained in stealth, you can.
Yeah, I'm not
it.
trained in stealth, so I'm just going to use speed.
I'll throw out my hood, but do my boots help me at all? Because I'm not actually touching the ground.
No, because that would give you no cover if you were hovering. Because right now you've got a little bit of underbrush, so you guys are trying to like kind of.
Yeah, I just want to see if I could like hover right above it, so I'm not making any noise.
Okay.
You said difficulty 5?
In difficulty 5.
Okay, I'm gonna run real fast.
I rolled a 5. Does that count?
I rolled an 8, so I don't feel bad.
Running real fast actually works.
It usually does.
It usually does.
Magna, do you want to make one just to see?
yeah,
Please get a nat 20.
I rolled a 2.
Considering you had to roll 30.
30 on a d20.
Yeah.
This game is great.
This game is amazing.
This game is great.
You all, Accelerando, you make it there in instant.
Take me with you.
Totally certain you weren't detected. You turn around. The soldiers are crawling through, staying low, using their training, very quiet. You see Sentinel essentially trying to do the same thing, but the pack he's wearing and his rifle is sort of sticking up from the underbrush like the periscope of a submarine. You see Sarah Bellix in her black leather trying to sneak through, but also realizing that there are some like briars here that are scraping at the leather, and she's really worried about the treatment on it and like trying to push those away. And then you see this massive...
I'm not even trying, let's be real.
You see this massive form of Machina just goosh, goosh, and he's holding up like a branch in front of him. As he sneaks, it's covering up the camera sensors on his own face, but he has this huge boxy form going out to either side that just is totally visible. And they're all goosh, 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 going up. I mean, just right in the center of everything.
Okay, is it obvious to me that Sarah Bellix and Sentinels have failed their checks? Like, can I see that they're...
No, because you have the branch in front of your face. You're hidden. You're good. You're golden. However, go ahead.
I was kind of either way. This just isn't working. I'm gonna do what I normally do and just go get everything to shoot me first. I'm just gonna charge into the door.
Okay, you begin to charge to the door. As that happens, though, you all hear a voice echoing from a loudspeaker, and that seems to be kind of embedded somewhere on the building. And you hear a voice. Looks like we have company. And you hear another voice says, "Oh, well, I suspect it was inevitable. Are you all from W.O.N.D.R?
Do we recognize either of these voices from videos that we've seen when they hacked our systems, or past people that we may have fought?
And maybe killed, but not killed.
No. But we don't know that?
It's not Wrath. Okay. Doesn't sound like Wrath.
I meant, was it Dude Bro?
Yeah, the leader of
Zeitgeist.
I'm
Zeitgeist?
pretty sure
Zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist would be on his asteroid base laughing maniacally at something.
He's super arrogant. I don't know, man.
We'll get to that.
You'd
But,
think that.
it's not a voice you recognize.
So just snooty jerks.
Yeah, essentially. But as you approach this, the male voice, oh, they do look like a W.O.N.D.R unit, don't they? Rather bizarre. Well, maybe this is a good time to test it. Oh, I suppose so. We're never going to get a better opportunity than this. And if it succeeds, we'd have more valuable research subjects too. All right then. I suppose we'll let you in. Open the doors, Mrs. Y. Certainly, Mr. X. And you, as Machina is going goosh, goosh, up towards the door, getting ready to punch it open, the door's kind of open inward.
Sentinel just stands up at that point. He's like, nope. All right.
I stop running and just walk through the doors, but sort of in process of this, I just rip one of them off the wall as I'm walking through.
Okay. As Machina goes charging through, rips one of the doors off.
Just out of spite?
Yeah.
You hear the voice coming through the loudspeaker says, there was no need for that.
I don't like how stressful my internal monologue music has gotten. So I'm going with them, but very on guard.
As you're all making your way in, though, the soldiers that are with you, Francis says, should we post up out here, and you want us coming in?
I mean, I would like
a trap.
Well, yes, it's most certainly a trap.
It's 100% a trap.
Okay,
I would like to have some kind of exfil.
You post up outside, and I will notify you if you're needed.
All right.
If things go bad,
knowing my telepathic bond with him is going to last for 24 hours.
Okay.
If things go bad, just remember, nuke it from orbit, and we're all good.
The one left that just says, game over, man. The captain gives them a signal, and they fan out. Oh, man.
How many of them are left? 4? Okay.
Yeah.
Is it
Francis
4? It's 4 plus Francis?
No.
Francis
just is one.
3 of them and Francis, okay.
Yeah.
I trust Francis, though, like, implicitly, for some reason.
You're inside his mind.
So they all fan out, and you head into the building, which actually leads immediately to a set of stairs descending down. And you head down those steps and down and down and down until eventually it levels off and comes to another set of doors. And once again, as you approach, the doors and swing open. Inside, as you stand at this entryway, you see a large white room. There are 3 or 4 other, looks like entryways or doorways leading off into different areas. This central chamber, just white laminate floors, walls, ceiling, fluorescent lights, giving this perfect white glow to this entire room. And it looks almost entirely empty, except for the other doors leading out from it.
I want to scan.
Okay. You scan. Nothing.
Actually, I actually have a question about my scan
Sure.
ability, because I can scan like inanimate objects and stuff like that. Not to say that Machina is an inanimate object, but does he show up on my scan? Also, and if he does he show up differently from, like, Accelerando and Sentinel?
Yeah. He shows up as an object that is moving along with you. I mean, essentially the same way a chair would, except this chair is very large and moving.
Like a computer?
Yeah.
With legs? Okay.
Or a chair.
It's really the same thing. Okay. But nothing except my buddies.
Nope. Yeah, nothing except for them.
Can you see outside of the area? Like, can you see Francis and all of them, or is it just the space?
You can't scan through the walls. You can scan up the stairs, but it seems like it's being blocked by the paneling.
Good to know.
I'll relay that to everyone.
All right.
Not good. Very not good.
Well, we knew this was a trap, so that's not surprising. Are there any other, like, doors in the area? Like, in the room? Like, we come through the one down the stairs.
Yeah, there. Like I said, there are 4 other doorways leading out from this room. It looks like 2 directly across from you, 1 on the other side.
So which door?
That's a good question. Are there markings on the doors?
Nope. Just kind of solid, sort of stainless steel, like medical doors.
I'm going to start walking towards the door that is on our left.
Okay. You all head over to the left. As you head into the room, the doors behind you close by whatever mechanical means, and the wall on the other side of the room suddenly sort of flickers for a moment, and a monitor essentially forms on that wall, and you see it lights up as a massive monitor, and you see 2 people standing there depicted. They look like brother and sister, twins. Both of them about middle-aged, each one with kind of identical kind of salt and pepper hair. One male, one female. The man is sort of short, kind of almost balding hair. The woman has hair that's kind of pushed up into a bun on her head. Both of them wearing glasses, white lab coats, and both of them smiling as they look into the room, and says, the man speaks out and says, I wasn't sure that they would come for it, but that was easier than I thought. The woman says, I believe so. Or either that or they're very confident in their abilities. The man speaks up. Suppose we should test this out then. We'll never get a better opportunity than this. All right. Release protocol 357. And you see in the center of the room some of the panels kind of pull apart in a cylindrical shape as you're all walking towards that door. Do you stop, or are you guys just ignoring this and heading towards the door?
Oh no, he stops because he doesn't want anything behind him.
Okay. And now that you've seen their faces too, you do recognize these people. You've never interacted or encountered them before, but you do recognize them from some dossiers that you would have received from Ein and W.O.N.D.R. These are F.R.O.S.T members, very notorious geneticists, known, I got it backwards, Mr. Y and Mrs. X. You know that they're not like they're not eights themselves, but they were pivotal in some of the experimentation has gone into learning the genetics behind eights, and have done contributed a lot of research to their field before being ostracized for a lot of audacious or sort of out there, bizarre experimentation, some unethical experiments that they ran, were eventually kicked out of or ousted from the scientific community, ripped of any sort of grants they were given by anywhere they worked, and have disappeared since then, and then were recently sort of reported as working for F.R.O.S.T. So they are, you do recognize them.
I will telepathically relay my huge vendetta against these two to anyone who's within emotional telepathic range of me.
Francis gets real salty all of a sudden and doesn't know why.
I'm just pissed off.
But if anybody that's telepathically connected with me right now, I think can feel like some real strong feelings.
Is clueless.
After feeling that, because I'm like always connected to her, again, it's just one of those, all right, Cerebellix, it's fine, we'll get them.
However, as you're seeing them too, you see in the center of the room, the circle is opened up about 10 feet across, and something is meant to rise out of the circle, like a tube rises up out of the circle, and you see the tube is filled with some sort of liquid inside of it, this amber-colored, semi-viscous liquid.
Okay, as it's rising up, I'm going to take that parachute pack that I was carrying with me, unpack it, and then use the parachute to just kind of stuff it in the tube so the liquid can't come out.
Okay. Yeah, it's not like the liquid's not pouring. It actually looks like a test tube, like a containment center.
Yeah, but just like putting a lid on it.
You're just nope. In an instant, you see this. All of you see this tube rise up, and you just begin to see something in the tube as it's rising up, and then suddenly, there's a big sheet over it as it's continuing to rise up, and the sheet is the parachute itself is sort of forming around it, and Accelerando is just standing next to all of you, still looking very pleased with himself.
I just look at him and shrug. Just.
I mean, if that works, I'm buying you a beer.
I'll add it to your tab.
Eventually it raises to be about 15 feet tall, and then it stops, still with the sheet around it, and you sort of, there's this 15 seconds of awkward silence. that sort of ruined the tension and the drama here. All right, so much for the reveal. Let's just open it. And you hear a button pushed, and there's a click, and suddenly you can see some sort of shifting in the tube, and then the bottom part of the fabric on the ground becomes like saturated with that amber fluid as it goes pouring out. And there's a few moments, and then you see something sort of pressing up against the sheet and kind of moving with it, and you see sort of this writhing sort of mass behind it, and as it moves, it's coming towards you. However, it has a sheet around it, so it just kind of looks like a ghost.
Boys, want to shoot that thing dead?
And at that moment, as it's hovering up to all of you, there is this sort of tearing at the fabric as these teeth begin to kind of claw away from it, and you see this figure, sort of this thing, sort of emerging, this pink, flesh-like orb. This mass with these tendrils coming off of it emerges from outside, has this chomping like head at the top with all these sharp needle-like teeth, a singular red eye in the center held by a number of like ligaments in place, and then these tendrils coming off of it. This just amalgamation of flesh and I mean, just this disgusting, this revolting piece of creature. And we'll go ahead and have you guys roll initiative to, I assume, attack it, unless you guys are going to pet it or try to make friends with it.
Yeah, no, I try to tame it. I don't do that.
Okay.
I used dominate creature. Oh wait, shit, wrong game. I apologize.
I would like this to be my familiar.
Everybody go ahead and make another initiative check.
Okay. That is not great initiative for me for once.
I have a really good initiative that time.
Yeah, so do I.
True to form, I rolled a 6.
I rolled an 18.
I rolled a 3, but I'm power shifted 3 and I have danger sense, so I think that reduces it by 4 or 5 steps total because I'm also trained in initiative.
Okay. You still fail.
I rolled a 24.
You succeed.
I'm shocked at Accelerando right now.
Right?
I think Machina, you still fail.
Damn.
Yeah, target number was 21.
Well, I don't feel so bad about my 6 now.
So
That was too smug for my parachute thing.
I could not have succeeded on this roll, so
yeah.
I couldn't have either. I also like to think that Accelerando was just so disappointed about his parachute being ripped up now that...
like, my brain is real fast. The rest of me, eh.
All right, Sentinel, you're up.
So, Sean, I have a question. How do
Sure.
grenades work in this world?
You throw them and they explode.
Well, I mean, like, not in Wonder World, but in this world of how do I use them in the game? Are they like a heavy weapon, or because I have one?
Yeah, I'd say they're like a heavy weapon.
All right. So let's see. Where's my sheet? Oh God, where are they?
If this goes poorly, I will attempt to speed grab any shrapnel out of the air as
There
it
it
comes
is.
flying towards us.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So I have to.
It's going to be the same rolling attack like usual.
Okay.
Except you don't have your power shifts in this, I don't think.
Because I can use any weapon, so I'm trained in it.
Okay, that's going to reduce it by 1.
Cool. And then the damage for a heavy weapon is what? Plus 3? 5?
Whatever your crap. I don't know. I think it's 5.
Okay, cool. So let's just go with that.
However, so it's it was a 7. You reduced it to a 6. So you have to roll an 18 or higher.
This should be a ton of fun. No, I rolled a 2.
Okay, so take the grenade. You hurl it forward, pulling the pin, and actually, no, these are future grenades. You push the button and you throw it forward, and the cylindrical stick sort of goes through the air, straight at the creature, and then it suddenly stops in the air, and you see it whoosh for a second, and then the whole thing is sort of contained, and the explosion is crushed and pulled down into a single sort of like singularity, and then disappears.
Well, that's fun.
I really need to bring more grenades next time.
All right. And it's going to be its turn. So you see it kind of hover up towards all of these tendrils whipping around. It is going to... As it hovers up to you, you see different sort of like the orbs across its form begin to glow for a moment, and then doosh, 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 you see these 3 pulses of this like plasma energy source go shooting out at, I'm going to say, Machina, Sentinel, and Accelerando. Speed defense rolls.
Great. That's not great. That's a 9 from me, but it's power
16
shifted
from
3.
16 from me.
13 from me.
Okay, so it's a 7. So
Nope, none of us.
nobody succeeds. So you all take 7 points of damage. So might pool reduced by 7.
And
minus
armor
whatever
does...
armor.
Yeah, okay.
It's one of those. As the blasts hit 3 of you, and it continues to kind of hover into your guys' sphere, the tendrils whipping out in your direction. So that ends its turn, and as its turn ends, you can hear the twins up there, Mr. Y, say, "Oh, haven't seen that before," and they're like, taking notes as they are observing this fight. All right, so the rest of you, your turns.
I'm gonna go punch it.
Okay, go punch it.
So I'm gonna start off just using my light punch.
Okay.
Spending from my pool because I can. I'm reducing the difficulty by 2, and I believe I can because I've got 2 edge in might.
Yes.
So it's difficulty is reduced by 2, so that makes it a difficulty 5 thing, I believe now.
Yes, 5, and then you say you're spending effort.
What is it? Difficulty 5 to hit as normal.
Yes. So if you're it's normally a 7. So if you're gonna hit it with the if you're reducing it by 2, that puts it at a 5. And if you spend effort on top of that, then you can reduce it further. But...
no, I'm not spending anything else.
Okay.
So yeah, I hit it for 11 points of punching damage.
Oh no, wait. Okay, so you're saying your edge is so hold
my
on.
edge is 2, so I can spend 2 effort to reduce it, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
Or
so this is this is
what 2 from my pool. Yeah.
Edge reduces the cost of that you spend.
Thank you. You have a different effort pool to.
Yeah. Effort. What's your effort right now?
Effort's just 1 actually.
1. So it means you spend 3 from your might pool to reduce it, and because you have an edge of 2, you get to you can spend 1 to use effort. But even with effort, I think you still would have failed. So,
quite possibly there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's still it's me getting used to this too. But yeah. So even with the -3, that puts you 4. So 12. Actually, you could have succeeded if you spent 1. If you spent 1 effort. So I'll let you, if you want to spend the points for it, I'll let you.
Spending an effort.
Okay, so you spend a might point, and you get that hit. So it'll take 11 points of damage.
11 punching damage.
Nice.
As I just send it bouncing across the room and back at us.
Yeah, you sort of slam into it, and the whole thing kind of ripples outward, its form twisting at that point, and then coming back into place. It looks like it reduced a little bit of the damage, but still took a heavy blow from that. All right. The rest of you.
Okay.
I'll defer
Go ahead.
and go last.
So first I'm going to use this surging confidence thing I have to do a recovery, but then still do an action.
Okay.
So...
What?
Okay, so it costs a might point to do that, but then I would get back force for a net of 3 might points, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then after doing that, what is it? So difficulty 7. So because I have 1 edge in speed, that means any effort I do to lower difficulty makes it cost 2 points.
Yes.
Okay, so I will do 1 of those.
Okay, so that reduces it to a 6, and then you have a power shift of 3.
Yeah, but again, I think this nightstick attack already factors all that in.
Okay, so
I'm gonna run up and try and poke it in the eye with the nightstick.
Okay.
That's an 11.
That will succeed.
Okay. So 5 damage to it in the eyeball.
All right. Again, you run up and you smack it in the side in its big fleshy form with the nightstick. Again, it seems to absorb some of the impact. The tendrils whipping out at you. Actually, I'll say too, as you hit it too, you realize that, and you realize this too, Machina, as you punch it, it's sort of like adhering to you a bit, it like sticking to you, and you find it kind of hard to pull away from it. You realize extended contact with this thing probably isn't going to go too well. But as you hit it, Accelerando, almost like a piece of it goes flying off and goes towards Cerebellix. Cerebellix, I need you to make. I'm using a GM intrusion here to make you make a speed defense roll, or you can.
There's a rule here happening. I can feel it. I can spend an XP to make it not happen, or I can just make the roll, but I get an XP.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make the roll, yeah.
Okay, make a speed defense roll.
It's not gonna be good. I'm gonna die, but I want that XP. Oh, I rolled a 7, which beats a 2.
That fails, and as the piece of it hits you, it's this like sort of volleyball-sized piece. Attaches onto your shoulder, and you feel these tendrils sort of go digging into your flesh a bit. And as this happens, there's this moment where in your head you feel something else is trying to pull for control of your body.
I'm getting possessed again? I get an XP though?
You do get an XP.
I don't really like being possessed.
Yeah, it's not necessarily trying to possess as it is essentially trying to mind control you. Which I guess are almost the same thing.
Those are different things?
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm having serious flashbacks to our last adventure.
Yeah.
Which I can't tell Machina about because he's the only person I can't telepathically connect to.
So that's that's the end of Accelerando's turn, which I think just leaves it to Cerebellix. Cerebellix, I need you to make an intellect defense roll.
Okay, I feel like I'm good at those. I have a lot of intellect. Oh, geez. No, I have this negative to my intellect defense rolls because I'm empathic. But I've negated it with a power shift, so it's just a regular roll. This game, you guys. Does my edge apply to this? I have 2 edge in intellect.
If you're going to spend any points, then...
no, I thought that was effort.
No. Edge allows you to reduce the cost of effort. Edge allows you to reduce the cost when you're spending points.
Okay, I would like to apply an effort to this roll then. Okay.
And you can apply a number of effort equal to your effort level.
Which is 1. So I can do 1 effort, so I minus an intellect point, which reduces the difficulty.
Alright, yeah, so that'll reduce it to a 6.
Oh god. That reduces it to a 6?
Yeah. And do you have anything else that reduces the, You don't know, trained in intellect defense or anything?
No, well, my empathic descriptor actually, like, makes my intellect defense worse, but I power shifted it to negate it.
Okay, so
I'm just gonna roll. Yep. I rolled a 2.
Okay, so go ahead and make your turn. Whatever you'd like to do on this turn. However, you find yourself being pulled, beginning to walk towards the creature, as if you willingly want to reach out and touch it.
I just wanted to mind slice the scary thing.
Okay, mind slice the scary thing.
I do that.
All right.
I rolled a 17.
Nice.
Which means
That
I get
works.
+1 damage. So 12 psychic brain damage, which ignores
Nice.
armor.
So as you're resting for control of your body, you lash out at the creature. You see its form shake in that moment. It lets out the psychic scream that you all feel in your minds. However, you lose control of yourself at that moment, and you find your legs moving underneath you, and you actually reach out and you touch the creature ahead of you, and you see your hand beginning to be absorbed into its fleshy form. So it is beginning to absorb you.
Since I've got telepathic connections with like half of 3/4 of this party at this point, and if I can in my brain, if I have any like control over that part of my brain, I'm just like, help.
Okay, that puts it back to Sentinel.
Do I like? Well, I apparently see her just put her hand into it. Do I hear that telepathic help?
Yeah, I'll say so.
Is there a way that I could like pull her out of the fleshy monster bit thing?
Yeah, you can make a might check to.
Cool. Cool. So I'm gonna try to do that.
Anything you're trained in that might help with this, or?
I only have a defense thing.
Then yeah,
that's
just
all I have.
make a might roll.
18?
Did you spend any effort? Because if you spent one effort, then you would be able to succeed on that.
Yes, then I will spend my effort.
Says God.
Because that'll be 3. That's gonna be 3 might points, unless you have edge.
I only have the effort.
Okay, so you spend that, and you're able to grab her, rip this thing off of her that is currently attaching itself to her shoulder, and you pull Cerebellix from the creature and kind of throw her behind you, and getting her to safety. Cerebellix, you see this kind of ooze across your hands. It's sort of like burning a bit.
Is burning like acid?
Bit, yeah. However, let's see. As he throws you away from the creature, you see this tendril coming out from behind him, and then lashing out and gripping, kind of wrapping him up in it, and beginning to pull Sentinel back towards it. Sentinel, I need you to make a might defense roll.
Oh no!
All right, here we go. 11, but I have a power shift 1.
Okay. You still have to roll an 18.
Fuck.
You're pulled into contact with the creature, and as you're feeling the searing pain in your hand, Cerebellix, you realize what now he is going through. A Sentinel screams out in pain too. Each one of you, from their contact with the creature, takes 10 points of damage.
That's all of my might. My might's at 0.
Carries over to your speed.
Holy crap. Okay.
What am I if one of mine is at 0?
You are impaired, which increases the cost of effort.
Okay, well, I'm impaired too.
All right. And that will end its turn. So up to the 3 of you now.
I'll punch it again.
Okay. You see it now kind of trying to absorb Sentinel, and him crying out in pain to see the acid or whatever the force this creature is currently tearing and digesting him. You go woof to punch out at the creature.
This might be a bad idea, but screw it. I'm also going to use my action, spend 2 might points, my might, I have 2 edging mights or whatever, to make a powerful pummeling attack with both hands. I take a -1 penalty to the attack, but it will inflict an additional 3 points of damage.
Okay, so it'll reduce your power shift by.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
But I'm spending the effort on the attack as well.
All right, so you negate it with the effort.
Basically. Ah, come on, roll good. I clicked the wrong thing. I don't know why it was set for that difficulty on the attack, but I roll the 13 on my dice roll, so I don't think I actually do it.
No, because you would have reduced it to. Yeah, because it would have been a 7 reduced by 3 is 4, 12. No, I think that would have succeeded.
Would it?
13 beats a 4.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Ooh, so I actually 14 points of damage with my punch.
14 points of damage.
And that was my light punch.
Good job, buddy!
Thank you!
All right. So you punch again, and you see that the gel and the stuff is currently kind of, it's on your armor. It's not really affecting you as much. It seems to be affecting like living material. But you wallop this thing with a heavy blow. All right. That will put it to either Cerebellix or Accelerando.
Okay. So this room has all the hallways leading off it, or that was before we came into this chamber?
No. This is still the room. There are a bunch of doorways around the room, but they're all closed at this point.
Yeah. So then I'm gonna do the effort thing again to reduce the difficulty to 6.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna try and nightstick the tentacle that has Sentinel.
Okay.
You do not get to hentai, my friends! That's an 18, so that's plus 2 damage. For 7 damage.
Whew, man. So you go rushing over to Sentinel and you whack the area closest to where Sentinel is lodged and beginning to be pulled into this creature. Sentinel, you feel yourself shift a bit. I'll say for the purpose of this, it's going to be easier to get you out. You're not totally out yet, though. So you still get the damage, and you get a little bit of that extra effect there because you rolled so well. Mm-hmm. All right. And then Cerebellix.
Am I still brain controlled?
No, you're free, and the acid is sort of like it's lost its potency after that initial sort of burn.
My sleeve!
Yeah.
Oh no!
You're good now.
My leather sleeve isn't. I will. Yeah, I'll mind slice the thing that has my buddy. And can I spend an effort to do better?
Yeah. So that'll reduce it to 6.
So and that's spending an intellect point because that's what I'm using. Okay, yeah. I just want to make sure I was subtracting from the right pool. I rolled a 16, which beats a 5, and my difficulty is -5.
All
so
right.
I beat a 10.
Okay. So that's a success on that. Definitely.
He takes 11 brain damage.
You concentrate for a moment, seeing this creature, and you felt that psychic scream before, and you connect with that scream, that resonance, that consciousness within it, and you lash out with that psychic energy, so that pulse towards it. Sentinel, you feel its grip on you sort of loosen, and you're able to pull yourself free. You feel the searing pain in your back. You fall free as the creature sort of twitches for a moment and contorts. It needs to fold inward as it falls back, or as it hovers backwards and up into the air, twitching, and you see pieces of it sort of slopping off to the side. The eye in the center sort of looking around wildly. The whole body sort of contorting and shaking. It looks like it's in its death throes, I'm assuming everybody turns around at that point for sort of that last sort of power.
Well, first of all, I'm doing something really dramatic over here.
What would you like to do?
No, if anybody's looking at me, so like the hood has come off, my hair is like, I mean, like Phoenix, Jean Grey style, like everywhere. My eyes are solid black. And I'm just like, anybody who's telepathically connected with me right now just hears this like loud, kind of like overwhelming voice of me in their heads going, "Let go." And that's my dramatic moment.
All right, and how do you guys want to help finish off this creature?
Oh, I mean, from his back, he's just going to unload into it.
Okay.
I'm gonna punch it really hard.
I'm gonna try and throw my nightstick at it.
Okay.
I'm good at jumping, so I will jump up and whack it rather than throwing.
All right. So you see it contorting and falling backwards, the psychic power beginning to disrupt its functioning. You, all three of you, turn towards it. You, Sentinel, wheel around, gun in hand, and just boosh, 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 fire off just successive shots into the body, sending gore spraying across the room. You, Accelerando, kind of go running, leaping up, kicking off the wall until you're right above it, and then using that kinetic force, you throw your nightstick down, which impacts the top and then sends the whole creature sort of pinned to the ground in a moment, just in a gory heap on the ground. Perfect level for Machina at that point, who goes koosh, 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 walking over, kind of rear your fist back. You hear this clicking noises. Koosh, 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 koosh. Slams to the ground. The tiles crack underneath, creating this indentation in the surface as bits and pieces of this creature scatter across the room. Just you all avoid them the best you can, kind of trying to dodge out of the way, letting them go overhead, trying not to get in contact with the bits and pieces of it, and the creature just is destroyed and scattered to the winds. Yes.
I think, I don't know, just making a choice after that, I don't fare super well. After that, attack, and maybe after hovering a little bit, come to the ground, kind of like slumping over. Not great.
Okay. At which point you see the two people on the monitors kind of watching from their mouths agape. They look to each other. We should probably go. Yes, I think so. And you see them from the screen. It goes dark, and they disappear. You see Cerebellix fall at the same time. What are the rest of you doing?
Oh, with as much damage that he just took, the gun has like left his hand, and he's just on his back. Ow.
I'm gonna go tearing this whole facility to pieces to try find them.
Okay.
I will run Cerebellix and Sentinel back out to Francis and the squad, and then assist Machina. Like, once he's punched open the doors, I'm running until I come to an obstacle.
I don't even bother with the doors at this point. You come back to just holes in walls.
I think what we see is from the perspective of Mr. Y and Mrs. X. They both turn off the facilities. They begin to grab up papers from this room that they're in, all these monitors and testing equipment, and they exit the door, and you see them heading down a long hallway where you see at the end an exit. And as they're making their way to it, they're just almost the exit. You see the doors opening up. You can see a platform outside with a craft on it, a hovercraft for them to escape on. However, just as they make it to the doors, suddenly there's a swoop as Accelerando comes zipping up right in front of them, and you have the knight stick out, and they both stop for a moment. Now listen, and you hear then behind a goosh, 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 as suddenly out from one of the walls, you see Machina explode behind them, sending debris and shrapnel all over their backs, and this white sort of dust kicking down on top of their perfectly coiffed gray hair. And they both look back at this giant robot behind them, and each one kind of gives a little as they see this massive creature. Cerebellix and Sentinel, you're both zoomed outside where you receive some medical attention. Cerebellix kind of goes into a catatonic state for probably an hour or so, where she's conscious, she's breathing, she seems okay. Her hand is pretty bad off, but she's just kind of zoned out. You're able to capture the two of them, restrain them, take them back to the military, to the soldiers you're with, who then cuff them and make sure they're taken care of. You search the facility, zooming around inside, gathering up any research you can. There are horrible sort of experiments that you come across, different creatures that were patched up and created in this facility. You see this is most of the creatures that are on this island, in this area of it, have been patched together. You find probably some of the remains of the missing villagers that are rumored, and the experiments that were done on them. But you also find in the main lab area, the area where Mr. Y and Mrs. X were, you find on that hard drive or on their computer information that you were looking for, or you find coordinates, data, and you find the location of the F.R.O.S.T facility, or the F.R.O.S.T headquarters on the Kuiper Belt. There are logs of the ship traveling there, sending transports, getting shipments from that facility, messages going back and forth. And with your technological know-how, Machina, you're able to get that information and store it to transmit it back to W.O.N.D.R and W.O.N.D.R.
Good old floppy disks.
Good old floppy disks. And with that, that's your box.
Oh no, I was just gonna make a comment if we were going to be like back at an W.O.N.D.R base where we could I think recommend Francis and his crew or his team for whatever kind of honors we can recommend them for.
Commendations.
Yeah, whatever kind of like commendations we could give them or put them up for. Because a lot of his team died in that effort, and the ones that lived
saved our lives.
Instrumental in probably a lot of us being alive right now. So I just wanted to put that out there to his superiors or whoever is there. For Francis deserves at least one promotion, probably 2 or 3. But I think his entire team deserves like real commendation for what just happened.
Okay, so you do return. There's a memorial for the fallen soldiers, and they're given a space on the large in the headquarters of W.O.N.D R back at the W.O.N.D R military base back at Cairo. They do have a large wall where the fallen soldiers and their names are engraved upon it, and their names are added. But Francis and the other soldiers, 73, 74, and 75, all received their accommodations for it, for bravery, and are given their due respect for that. So the first post-credit scene that we have here is as you're before that happens, and as you're leaving the facility, there's those sort of you all leave and head back towards the jungle to your extraction point, and the camera sort of pans down into the chambers that you're in previously, scattered with gore and bits and pieces around. And there's this sort of time lapse that unfolds, and after about a day, you see these pieces around the room begin to twitch and move, and you watch as the creature begins to reform itself at the center, this mass of gore, at which point it begins to patrol the hallways of this deserted military base, or F.R.O.S.T base. Then we go to you all at the Ein military base in Cairo, giving the commendations to the soldiers that were with you. And then speaking with Eternity, giving the coordinates to W.O.N.D.R of the location of the F.R.O.S.T headquarters on the Kuiper Belt. And then there's this time lapse, this preparations, this gathering and this marshaling of W.O.N.D.R of eights underneath the W.O.N.D.R banner. You see yourselves, the Tokyo unit, boarding a Helix jet. These jets capable of space flight. There are 3 such jets that are boarded by a number of W.O.N.D.R units, and you watch as they vertically take off and then go zooming up into the outer atmosphere, each of you having been receiving your orders and being dispatched on your mission to the Kuiper Belt to finally, once and for all, take down F.R.O.S.T and prevent these future atrocities. As the ships go zooming out into the void of space, all of you sitting aboard your vessels, preparing for whatever might lie ahead, the camera itself sort of zooms past faster as as the 3 ships are traveling into the void of space, and the stars and planets begin to zoom by in a swirl of Technicolor. And then darkness. Our vision pans away from the matte surface of a dead monitor and over the back of a chair in a darkened but familiar room. Dozens of monitors, one by one, fade to black. As the last clicks off, only a sickly green light washes over the space. The chair creaks as it rotates, slowly revealing in the darkness a figure wearing a black suit. Their faces obscured in shadow. All but the metallic implants are dimly reflected in the dark light and surround a glowing amber eye. And that's where we'll end our session tonight. All right. GG, everyone.
We all have to be here for next session. All of us.
I think I can make it. We'll see how student teaching goes.
Yep. So we're gonna see, but next session might be the conclusion to our W.O.N.D.R world arc. The end of this campaign. Not to say there might not be future ones. We might not do more later on, but I think we're gonna conclude it probably in the next one and take a hiatus from Cypher System for a while. We've got some other things in the works. We're currently playing around thinking about a new game to add to the roster. I don't want to say too much right now because we're still kind of working on it. But that'll probably start, if it all pans out, we'll start roughly around the same time that Wonder World is going to be ending. So I'm excited. I hope you guys have all enjoyed the system and this kind of short little journey that everyone's been on. But yeah, it's a great system, and I've probably have to learn more about it in the future and bite off a little bit less than just throwing a bunch of superheroes on the world. But yeah.
Hey, go big or go home.
I mean, really and truly, like, you're doing a freaking amazing job with it. So, like, don't count yourself short, man.
It's really just the mechanics of it that I think I'm probably just butchering the hell out of. But no,
hey, we're having fun.
Yeah, I love
and that's what matters.
Yeah, I love the narrative element of this game, and I think what we're do next is going to be just as narrative. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But going to wrap up, because I know we're going a bit late. We have all of our credits and everything down below. If you like anything we're doing, you like our art, you like the overlays, we give credit to all of our wonderful contributors down on the bottom of the Twitch page. If you're watching on YouTube, go over to Twitch if you're interested in any of the music we use, any of the art we use, any of the overlays. All the credits are on there, so you can contact the right people. Like I said at the beginning of the session, we are doing our giveaways. We are in the process of giving away our first set of dice. We still haven't reached our goals for the other two, so keep on following and subscribing and all that good stuff if you're interested in winning some dice. If you want to get in on this first giveaway, the cutoff date will be the 23rd. So make sure you go on Twitter and like that post or like that tweet so that you can enter the giveaway. Make sure you are following on Twitter to be entered. We will have our one shot run by Savannah tomorrow, so come and check that out.
It's still not tomorrow, but that's fine.
Wow.
Saturday. I think it's Friday. Man, this week can't go by fast enough. But yeah, on Saturday, Savannah will be running her Honey Heist one shot. A bunch of bears.
Yeah.
Stealing honey.
It's Christmas themed. It's also Mad Max themed. It's also bear themed. So if you're into any of those things, show up. It's going to be a really disastrous good time.
Yeah, it'll be fun. She sells herself short, but Savannah's a very good game master. But after that, we will have so no Survivors Complex this weekend, unfortunately, but we will have Wild Space on Monday for your viewing pleasure. So come check that out too and get caught up on old episodes. You got plenty of time this weekend if you want to. All that's on the YouTubes. So otherwise, I think that's it for announcements. Nothing else to cover. So thank you everyone for watching. Our next game will be on January 9th.
In the new year, guys. It'll be Wonder World in 2018.
Yep. So next episode will be on, I believe, January 9th. I need to make sure. Yeah, January 9th is the day, but we had a blocked off for that. So come watch the conclusion, the finale of that, if you got time, or just do it anyway. Because we're super excited to see how this turns out.
With that ending and what just happened, I'm literally going into work tomorrow and be like, hey, on Tuesday, I have to be out of here by 6.
Otherwise, thank you everyone for watching. And until next time, good game and stay wonderful, everyone.